Okay, let me show you a very simple and easy way to format your Avery labels, to print on an Avery template. And first, we are going to go to Google Docs, and we need to download an app called Avery Label Maker by HomeDrop. I'll include the link to this in the notes below, as well as the pinned comment. And this one you can download for free, and if you need any paid features, like you need to merge a lot of data from a Google Sheet, it's going to be the cheapest one out of all the options. So, but if you want to just make one label and just repeat it on your whole sheet, I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So after we download this Avery Label Maker app, we need to go to Extensions, and we may need to reload our document, but then once we click Extensions, it'll be down here, Avery Label Maker. We're going to click Create Labels, and then we need to find the template that we're using. And in my case, I have the 18160 labels. So I'll do a quick search for that. Easy peel address, yep, this is it. And it will create essentially a table where each one will line up perfectly inside our actual sheet when we go to print it. So what I'm going to do, I want to add both an image and text to my labels. What I want to build right now is a label that looks like this. Image on one side and then some text on the other. And so what I need to do, I want there to be two columns inside each label. One for the image, one for the text. So what I need to do is I need to insert a table inside the label. And so I'm going to click Insert Table, and this is a 2x1 table. If we were just adding text, we would not need to add a table. We could just add our text right in here. We could center it, format it, italicize it, change the font, whatnot, according to how we like it. But in this case, I'm going to add an image, show you how to do that. So to add the image, first what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight the whole cell, and I'm going to bring the font size down to 0. And that is going to, maybe it won't let me, just 1. I'm going to bring it down to 1, and that's going to allow me to adjust our little table inside of here a little easier without a problem. Because sometimes if we make our table inside here too big, you can see it drag this whole first row down, and that will screw up all of our formatting once it's time to actually print. And so I'm going to decrease the size of the font to 1. If I'm adding an image, I'm going to hit Insert, Image, Upload from Computer. This image here, and you can see it uploaded pretty large. And what it did, it made this whole first row bigger. And again, that's a problem because when we go to print, it won't fit inside the label. So we need to decrease that image size until we see that this first row is not growing, that it's going to be the same size all over. Okay, so I can make this a little bigger, and I can see that this first row did not get any bigger. I'll just kind of push it to its limit here, see how big I can get it, and that's about good. Okay, so this first column is just going to have the image, and the second column, I want some text, and I want the text to all be lined up in the center of this. And so what I need to do, I need to right-click, and then I need to go to Table Options. And then I will go to Cell, and I want the vertical alignment to be in the middle. So now everything is centered in the middle. And my text is going to be Painted Wood Shutter. And you know what? I want this to also be, the alignment to be centered horizontally. The name here. And then one more piece of text. And this is also going to be centered. And again, I'm always watching this first row, making sure it's not getting any bigger, and it's not going to screw up the rest of our formatting. Okay, and let's make all of this bold. Perfect. I'll make this one a little smaller, and I will italicize it. Then I want a little more spacing between these two lines. So what I'll do, I'll highlight them, and I'll go to line spacing, and I'll go 1.5. And I can see that made it a little too big. It made this first row too big, so I'm going to bring this back down to 1.15. And if I test that here, I can see that does make our row expand, even at 1.15. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make all of this just a little bit smaller. Add this gap. This gap is too big. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this line spacing single. And we're still just a little too big. So I'm going to make this text even smaller. add the gap, and we'll see. Okay, I think even then it's very slightly too big. When I go here, I know now we are not increasing the size of the cell. Okay, now this table inside of our first cell, I don't want there to be any lines in our label, and so I'm going to double click in the middle of that box. I'm going to go to table options. I'm going to click color. In the table border, I'm going to reduce it to 0. And that way, as you can see, nothing, there's no lines here. Okay, and then I'm going to hit create labels. But before I do that, let me show you something real quick. If I wanted to add data from a spreadsheet, a Google Sheets data set that I have, say names with numbers, I could select a spreadsheet. And then I can navigate through all my files. I can click data. That's where I want to pull the data from. And I have 2 columns, first name and number. This would add the first name. I could put this on its own line. This has made the cell too big, but in theory, I could add the first name, and each label will take a different row. We'll take row by row, we'll take the first name, and then I could also add number, the correlated number, and each label would have, Joe would have 1, Don with 2, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's just an extra tool that you have at your disposal with this app. You can add dynamic data if you have a data set, so you can make name tags or size tags, whatever it might be. But we'll finish this up. So I have my first one exactly how I like it. Rather than try to make this for each individual box, I'll just leave this checked here. Use the first cell as reference. I'll click create labels, and this will generate a new Google Doc for me with all my data perfectly formatted. Labels are ready. I'm going to open that document. We can see here we have all my labels in the exact correct format. And what I can do now is go to File, and I can go to Print. And with our settings, we want to leave things mostly as default. If there's an option to fit to scale, we do not want to do that. This is perfectly formatted as is. I want to print this exactly how it was formatted in Google Docs, including the margins and the scale. And so I'll click print. I'll hop over to the printer and show you how to test to make sure that we're lining up all right, make sure we're putting in our labels the right way, and then how to actually print them. So you want to grab a scrap piece of paper just to test out, find out where the front and back of the labels is, make sure you're printing it on the right side. So I just threw a scrap piece of paper in there, printed it out. I see it lined up well, but one thing I did not, the front came out first, and so I should have made a note of that. But this particular template, the top and bottom are the exact same, so it wouldn't have made a difference. I'm just making sure that I'm loading it the right face up. The labels ended up coming out perfectly, exactly centered as I hoped, and I'm good to go.